Story 1. If you are working an honest, hard job, you should never be ashamed of it. Society should not teach people to feel ashamed because their work is not considered glamorous. No one should be ashamed of doing honest work to make a living. Story 2. There is no need to dramatize medical conditions, especially in front of healthcare providers. They see that all the time. Story 3. Having been homeless, it is a real struggle, and we are lucky if we make it out. We should not be judged harshly. We should be able to say, I survived. Story 4. Anything that brings you joy, anyone who tries to take that away is a dick. I had a friend who liked Justin Bieber, and people were making fun of him. I stepped in. Why would you try to ruin something someone enjoys? Story 5. Periods. Roughly half of the population experiences them. They should not be an embarrassing topic. Story 6. Going to therapy can help. Most people could benefit from a few sessions. We all have issues that can improve by talking to someone. We must end the stigma around mental health. Story 7. Enjoying things perceived as childish when you are an adult, such as stuffed animals or Pokemon. Story 8. Where you live. I own a mobile home and hate the stigma and jokes. It doesn't matter whether you live here, in an apartment, in a traditional house, or anywhere else. Story 9. Men should not be ashamed of crying or showing their feelings. Story 10. Aging, especially for women, is often treated like a sin, as if we do not matter unless men find us desirable. We constantly feel we must hide the effects of aging, as if it were some hideous crime. Story 11. I don't know if shame is the right word. Maybe embarrassment. I feel that way about a person's laugh or smile. Personally, I always use a Mona Lisa smile in photos because I'm self-conscious about how my top lip disappears when I smile. Story 12. You may not be in the same situation as your peers. I see many people who feel that something is wrong with them because they are not married, do not have children, or are not at a certain point in their careers. None of that matters unless it is something you want in your life. Story 13. Disability, different abilities, and the loss of abilities, along with the general physical degeneration that comes with aging and chronic conditions, affect many people. We are so embarrassed to have bodies that we become ashamed when they naturally do not work. It is not shameful when our bodies do not function as they once did. Story 14. You should not be ashamed if you are hurt by something someone said. Story 15. Their bodies. I see and hear so much body shaming these days. Story 16. Getting sober. You are a badass and a motherfucking survivor. I will not drink with you today. Story 17. Sometimes people confuse being ashamed of actions they have done with being ashamed of who they are. Nobody should be ashamed of who they are. Story 18. To hide being isolated from daily life as an autistic person. Story 19. The nude body, genitals and breasts. Feeling ashamed of exposing one's body is socially learned in many cultures but not in all. Story 20. My partner's lack of effort should not reflect my value or worth. Today is day 11 of being separated, and I am letting go of the feeling of shame that I was not enough. He was just the wrong person. Story 21. It is okay to be emotional. You are human. There is no shame in that. Story 22. Still being a virgin past whatever is considered the normal age to have sex. Who cares? Story 23. Where they come from is literally blind luck. You were born there. Story 24. Body hair. I am a woman with polycystic ovary syndrome, and I have hair in places I did not choose. Story 25. People who judge others by the car they drive are shallow. Story 26. You should be comfortable with yourself and not pay any attention to anyone. Story 27. Vulnerability. Sometimes you lose a job, a home, your health, or a person. Not everyone is doing poorly, but certainly not everyone is doing great, especially in every aspect of life. Story 28. Not driving for personal reasons. Medical history. Scars. Not trying to impress others. Financial struggles. Being single. Not wanting children. Trauma. Story 29. Do what you wish as long as it does not harm an innocent person, child, or animal. Do not be ashamed of being yourself. Story 30. Sexual activity. As long as everyone involved is a consenting adult, do whatever you wish without shame. Story 31. Not knowing is acceptable. In general, being able to say, I don't know the answer to that is perfectly okay. It is much better than thinking you know or pretending to know when you do not. Story 32. Stretch marks on a woman's skin, especially after childbirth. Story 33. Enjoying something. Being a fan of a sports team, entranced by a song, excited by a television show, pining for a particular slice of pizza. Loving parts of the human experience is the most quintessentially human quality. Story 34. Living with a mental illness is difficult. I am so tired of people not getting the help they need and living with a poor quality of life because of the stigma. I have bipolar disorder. Believe me, I have experienced it too. You have nothing to be ashamed of or embarrassed about. Story 35. Their sexuality or being sexual in general is natural. Story 36. Menstrual cycle. It is ridiculous how cringe this still is. Story 37. For men, it is about size. Most people do not care what someone has below the waist. Story 38. Saying no when you need to is important. Too many people burn out by taking on more requests than they can reasonably handle. Story 39. Bodily functions are natural. Just don't do them on purpose. Story 40. A person should not be ashamed of anything they cannot change about themselves in under 1 minute. Story 41. Wearing the clothes they want regardless of their sex or gender expression. Story 42. Physical attributes are something they have no control over. Yes, it's from my personal experience. Story 43. Before you click the upvote or downvote button, hear me out. I have a friend who was formerly diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. He often feels ashamed to be autistic because he faces ableism nearly every day, and it breaks his heart. Story 44. Asking questions when you don't understand something. Why would you be ashamed of getting accurate information? Would you rather remain quiet and intentionally be ignorant? Story 45. Not being able to move on immediately after a breakup is normal. It is okay to feel sad and to grieve for as long as you need. Story 46. No one should be shamed for a mental illness. It is as blameless as a physical illness. Without shame, more people might seek the medical help they need instead of hiding their problems. Story 47. Ideally nothing. If there were no shame, think of how many problems people could feel completely comfortable admitting to and seeking help for. Story 48. Going to the gym. To people who are overweight, I promise we are not watching. If we do look your way, we are probably thinking, hell yeah, go for it. Story 49. Asking questions, being wrong, and understanding that it is okay to fail as long as you learn from it and move forward. Story 50. Owning a sex toy is common. Most people use their hands for that activity, so a toy should not be seen as strange. In many cases, toys are more sanitary because you do not use your hands directly. Couples can also benefit from toys designed specifically for partners. Story 51. I watch the Marvels and I am absolutely not ashamed of it. Iman Vellani is the best. Story 52. Uncertainty. Saying, I don't know, when society demands the appearance of an answer and the theater of certainty. Story 53. Pooping is a natural bodily function, and we would die if we held it in too long. Story 54. Loving or needing stuffed animals as a teenager or adult. Story 55. Riding an electric unicycle makes me feel free. I may look like a huge dork when I ride, but it is super fun and I like it. Story 56. Be vulnerable in any shape or form. Do not censor yourself if you want to tell that corny joke or share something personal. If the people around you mock you or make you feel bad for it, they are not your people. Story 57. The internet has increased the perpetuation of intense beauty standards affecting people's bodies. Story 58. Liking things outside the norm. For example, men who enjoy feminine cartoons and anime, and women who enjoy traditionally masculine interests. Story 59. Their sexuality, provided it does not involve murder, sexual activity with minors, or fantasies about sexual violence is their own. To this day, people still hound others for having sexual preferences or fantasies that are not real and are simply a form of play. Story 60. Not being good at something they haven't practiced much. Story 61. Lashing out at, or reacting poorly toward, someone who repeatedly hurt or disrespected you and never took accountability or apologized. Story 62. For me, it is menopause. What I and other women experience during it is overwhelming, yet some men make us feel ashamed for going through it. Story 63. If you have any abnormalities on your body since birth, it is not your fault. Story 64. I remained a virgin until I was 26. Oddly, people made a bigger deal of it when I was younger than when I was older. In the same vein, I was single. I dated 2 boys in high school and then chose to be single for 11 years until I met my partner at 29. Those 11 years let me learn to enjoy my own company and get to know myself as a whole, complete person. I fell in love with many things and people in different ways and learned that romantic love is not a necessity but is nice to have. You do not need someone to complete you. You need someone to complement you. There is truth to the saying that you need to love yourself for someone to love you. Story 65. Medical conditions, disabilities, medical devices, and accommodations. Story 66. Saying no to invitations because you are not financially stable right now. Story 67. Menial jobs are essential. It takes all types of people in a variety of roles to make society function. If we did not have people willing to be plumbers, we would be swimming in waste. If we did not have trash collectors, we would be living in a sea of garbage. Be respectful of all trades and jobs. Story 68. Medical conditions, their job, and being a picky eater or avoiding certain drinks because of stomach issues. Story 69. Responsible gun ownership and enjoyment of related activities. Story 70. Regarding their appearance, nobody had a choice, so they had to show off. Story 71. My brother has mild neurofibromatosis and feels ashamed, even though I tell him he has nothing to be ashamed of. He didn't choose this condition. Story 72. Musical preferences. There are many types of music, and all of it is good. Not all of it is for everyone, though. Story 73. Answering sexual health-related questions for medical professionals. Yes, I am a stranger, but when was your last period? And are you sexually active? It is really not a big deal. Story 74. Having few or no intimate partners or engaging in intimate activity. Story 75. Liking animation. Just because it does not feature real people does not mean it is preschool schlock or raunchy trash. There is so much that can be done with animation, and so much that has been done which cannot be achieved in live action. Yet many adults cannot sit through anything animated, no matter the subject. The current state of the industry is sad, because who will defend those who make cartoons when their work is not seen as worthy entertainment? Story 76. Many people are living in their cars while working full-time. The cost of living is insane, and more people are being forced into this situation while we ignore one another. I wish people would be more open, say hello, acknowledge that things are rough, and start a conversation. Story 77. People should be free to enjoy the things they like. I see many posts on the subreddit No Stupid Questions asking the same question repeatedly. Is it okay that I like things people like me are not normally interested in, or the opposite? Yes, it is okay to enjoy what you like. It is even okay to tell anyone who objects to get bent. Story 78. Your penis size is what it is. God made you like that. If it works, man. Story 79. Poor parents. I was ashamed. As a grown-up, I hate myself for this. Story 80. Their appearance, personality, and unique features. Story 81. Be yourself. Do not worry about what others think. I have been down that road a few times. It is easy to get caught up in someone else's opinion, even when it is not about you. Remind yourself what you enjoy and what makes you happy. Story 82. Seriously. Life is too short to spend it wondering what other people think of you. If you are not hurting anyone or breaking the law, do what feels right for you. Story 83. Growing up with abusive caretakers who made you feel worthless, you did not understand what you had done wrong and carried an intangible, diffuse shame throughout your life that influenced every part of your existence. It was not your fault. You can leave it behind and create your own life now. They are not in charge of your life. Story 84. Having bad teeth is difficult. Dental care is ridiculously expensive. Story 85. Seeing someone naked or in their underwear is not surprising. We all wear underwear and are essentially naked under our clothes. No one is unfamiliar with what male or female genitalia look like, so it would not be especially shocking to see someone else's. Story 86. Nobody should be ashamed of anything that isn't causing harm, no matter what it is. Story 87. People should be free to love whomever they choose. Love should never be a source of shame. Story 88. I enjoy watching cartoons as an adult, including children's cartoons. Some are absolutely fantastic, and it is nice to take a break from the crushing current events of the day to watch a wholesome family of dogs. I also want to mention the DuckTales reboot, Amphibia, The Owl House, and Gravity Falls. Story 89. I need help. I am addressing parents, although no one should be ashamed of needing help in any area. The need for a village to raise a child never went away. It only seems that parents are expected to do it all at home while working 2 or 3 jobs. Some people have adopted a "you can't tell me how to raise my child" attitude, even though none of us really know what we are doing. Story 90. Not meeting the romantic or social milestones that society expects. Losing virginity, having a first kiss, going on a first date, or being in a relationship. Story 91. Trauma from the past is not your fault. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Story 92. As a pharmacist, I want you to get your medications. If you do not have insurance or cannot afford them, I will help. I do not want you to have to choose which medication you need most or between medications and a meal. If that means calling the medical doctor who prescribed something too expensive and recommending a less expensive alternative that will also work, I will gladly do it. We typically know what is covered and the available options, not just physicians' favorites. If you need help with coupons, I can help. Please do not be afraid to ask. I know some pharmacists may not share my views, but I will advocate strongly to help you obtain affordable care. No disrespect to medical doctors. Many do not know how much a medication will cost and are willing to work with us to make sure you are taken care of. Story 93. As a divorced person, I feel there is still a stigma around divorce when there should not be. Story 94. Our body is the primary caregiver and our attachment to life. Story 95. Be yourself. Whether you are non-heteronormative, transgender, gay, or otherwise. Live and let live. You are allowed to live as you wish, and no one should tell you otherwise. As long as your actions do not exploit or harm others, it should not matter. Stay in your lane and do your own thing. We are all trying to live our best lives. Story 96. Sex, what people's bodies look like and natural things they do. Story 97. If you are a victim of domestic violence, what happened or is happening to you is not your fault. Story 98. If a man who has loved watching soccer since he was 5 can still be a fan at 45, you can still love playing video games. Story 99. Women should never be ashamed of or apologize profusely for their periods, especially to men. If you never want to have sex and remain a virgin for your whole life, that is 100% okay. It is okay to say no forever, and there is nothing wrong with you. Story 100. The things they like. I have made that mistake before, and I still regret it. Story 101. Enjoying sexual activity with different people is totally natural. Story 102. Unpopular opinion. Hurting someone's feelings. Sometimes it's the right thing to do, especially if you want change. Story 103. First sexual impulses and thoughts. Wanting sexual intimacy, having sex, thinking about someone sexually, and so on. You are not a monster for feeling things that most human beings feel, or for having thoughts and feelings you cannot fully control. This especially applies to partners of asexual people. I have heard multiple cases where partners feel like a horrible person for thinking about their partner sexually and wanting to do sexual things with them. In reality, it is completely normal. You should have a conversation with your partner about what they are willing to do. Asexual is an umbrella term for many kinds of people who are comfortable with different boundaries. I am asexual and my ex went through this too. I still regret not expressing all of this more, even though I tried. The line to draw is not asking permission when you do something that you have not clarified the recipient is okay with, or saying sexual things without having clarified that the people you are talking to are comfortable with it. Sexual assault is never acceptable, and being grossly inappropriate can be extremely harmful. Having no filter is especially a problem for teenagers. It has affected me personally. However, what is unacceptable is the stigma society attaches to being a sexual person, often from the same people who do the things they criticize. Second, being obsessed with your interests or a fictional character. There is nothing wrong with liking something to the point of obsession. It can be a great source of joy and comfort. As someone with undiagnosed but very likely attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, I have experienced this, and it can hurt people deeply. Interests are too often stigmatized as if liking something makes someone weak or vulnerable, when that is not the case. You should be able to like what you want without judgment. Hyperfixations on fictional characters are the same. Fictional crushes are unnecessarily criticized. They are not harmful or creepy. You just feel attracted to a character. And that is okay. I got tired of typing, so I will be less detailed on this point. Basically, your thoughts, feelings, and interests are valid. Do not let anyone stop you from liking something that is harmless. Story 104. I need more sleep. I sleep barely 5 hours every day, so I cannot go to parties on weekends. Story 105. I lived paycheck to paycheck when I was young. Took me a while to get to where I'm comfortable now. Story 106. The way they look. We are all beautiful in our own way. Story 107. Random erections are involuntary. No one can choose when they happen. Story 108. Tears are a gift essential to our mental and physical health. Story 109. As a recovering addict, I see many people at my job who are embarrassed about their past addiction. I am not here to judge. I have never been addicted to anything but caffeine, but my grandfather told me recovery is a battle every single day, and I believe he was right. Story 110. Being human, we face climate change, pollution, the flaws of human nature, and the current mass extinction. Story 111. Emotions, especially tears, occur for whatever reason. Story 112. This is not about anything in particular, but no one should be ridiculed for asking questions. Just because something seems simple to you does not mean it is simple to someone else. If someone asks for details or about a topic you know, do not make them feel bad for not knowing the answer. Story 113. Their love and faithful devotion to Jesus as Lord, Savior, and God. Story 114. Many people wish they had more friends or social connections than they actually do. I see this feeling everywhere. It is fascinating that so many long for connection yet have been unable to find one another. It is human to want connection, and your people are out there. Don't give up. Story 115. Voting for Democrats. It is the party of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and Martin Luther King Jr. We can be proud to be part of this legacy. Story 116. Giving up and accepting failure after a good, honest attempt that involved exhausting every strategy and workaround. Story 117. Saying no. I am not saying everyone, but there are many people who just do not. Story 118. Accents of non-native English speakers occur when they speak English. This means the speaker speaks at least 2 languages, which is more than most English speakers. Story 119. Talking to people on the internet, whether on Reddit or in games. I'm sick of having to be careful when I say I have online friends. That doesn't mean I'm looking for a husband or that I'm a weirdo. Maybe I can be a little odd sometimes, but having online friends doesn't imply anything else. It's hard to make and keep good friends these days, online or in real life. We should value those friendships, not judge them. Story 120. About having a few extra pounds. I think being ashamed of it adds to the burden. We are all doing the best we can. Story 121. Not everyone is as tall, smart, rich, diplomatic, or skilled as others. Story 122. Do not be ashamed of what you do. It might be seen as low, but at least you are doing something. Story 123. Kinks or fetishes are normal and many people have them. I have had people close to me talk about them and we just laugh in an I accept you kind of way. More often than not, people have something. Story 124. Falling into a mental pit and needing help to get out. Mental health is still a hard topic to talk about, sadly, but we all have our problems. Story 125. Periods. It's a part of life, and you don't need to feel embarrassed. Story 126. Being simple and not having an extravagant personality is fine. Many people feel bad about not standing out because they think they are less memorable or charismatic. But if everyone were special, nobody would be. There is value in not being focused on tiny niches, strong opinions, or particular needs. It means you can be more versatile in many things instead of being specialized in a single field. Story 127. You should never be ashamed if your love story is different from everyone else's or from what the media and television say it should be. You can have a slow romance that is not physical or one that is purely physical. No one should tell you who you may love or make you feel bad about how you love. Story 128. Not fitting in society's standards. Embrace your uniqueness. Story 129. Acne is most often a hormonal issue rather than a hygiene problem. Story 130. You should not be ashamed if you earn your money honestly. Story 131. A foreign accent means you speak at least 2 languages. Be proud. Story 132. Grown men and women have plush toys in their homes. As long as they add personality to the living space, it is fine. Plush toys can even help the most masculine men sleep soundly. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.